Hello viewers, welcome to EDU-audioteller. Today it's our first video which is upon the ICSE short story The Chief Seattle's Speech. Before starting the story, let's know a bit about the story. Actually, it is a speech delivered in 1854 by Chief Seattle who belonged to the Squamish tribe. He delivered this speech at Washington, and in it he pursued the path of accommodation to white settlers in the US state of Washington. His speech contained arguments in favor of ecological responsibility and respect of Native Americans' land rights. He recollects the hostilities that existed between the white and his tribal people, the red children. He thinks that his old tribal people were never like to resume the old hostilities. He hopes that their godfather in Washington would protect them. He realizes that they, the white men and the red children, were two distinct races. There is little common in them. He refers to the proposition received from the white men. He thinks that the proposition seems to be fair and his people will accept it, but he puts a condition before they take a decision. He says that his people will be free to visit the tombs of their ancestors, friends and children at any time. He opines that the deserted streets at night will be thronged with the returning hosts that once filled them and still love this beautiful land. So let's also know about the author, which is the Chief Seattle. Chief Seattle was a Native American chief, a member of the Squamish tribe, and a prominent figure among his people, who pursued a path of accommodation and reconciliation with white settlers. Seattle was born around 1718 near Blake Island, Washington. Seattle earned his reputation at a young age as a leader and a warrior. This following is a widely publicized speech attributed to Chief Seattle in which he argues with gentle irony in favor of ecological responsibility and respect of Native Americans' beliefs, traditions and land rights. Although what he actually said may have been lost through translation and rewriting of the speech or letter attributed to Chief Seattle has been widely cited as a powerful, bittersweet plea for respect of Native American rights and environmental values. The city of Seattle in the state of Washington in the US is named after him. So now let's start the actual story, the Chief Seattle speech, which is an authentic text of Chief Seattle's Treaty Oration 1854. Yonder sky that has wept tears of compassion upon my people for centuries untold, and which to us appear changeless and eternal, may change. Today is fair, tomorrow it may be overcast with clouds. My words are like the stars that never change. Whatever Seattle says, the great chief at Washington can rely upon with as much certainty as he can upon the return of the sun or the seasons. The white chief says that big chief at Washington sends us greetings of friendship and goodwill. This is kind of him, for we know he has little need of our friendship in return. His people are many, they are like the grass that cover vast prairies. My people are few. They resemble the scattering trees of a storm-swept plain. The great, and I presume the good, white chief sent us word that he wishes to buy our land but is willing to allow us enough to live comfortably. This indeed appears just and even generous, for the red man has no longer has the rights that he need respect, and the offer may be wise also, as we are no longer in need of an extensive country. There was a time when our people covered the land as the waves of a wind-ruffled sea cover its shell-paved floor. But that time long since passed away with the greatness of tribe that are now but a mournful memory. I will not dwell on nor mourn over our ultimately decay, nor reproach my pale-faced brother with hastening it, as we too may have been somewhat to blame. Youth is impulsive. When our young men grow angry at some real or imaginary wrong and disfigure their faces with black paint, it denotes that their hearts are black, and that they are often cruel and relentless, and our old men and old women are unable to restrain them. Thus it has ever been. Thus it was when the white men began to push our forefathers ever westward, but let us hope that the hostilities between us and may never return. We would have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Revenge by young men is considered gain, even at the cost of their own lives. But old men who stay at homes in times of war and mothers who have sons to lose know better. Our good father in Washington, for I presume he is now our father as well as yours, since King George has moved his boundaries further north, our great and good father I say send us words that if we do as he desires, he will protect us. His brave warriors will be to us as a bristling wall of strength, and his wonderful ships of war will fill our harbors so that our ancient enemies far to the northward, the Haidas and Timshians, will cease to frighten our women, children, and old men. Then in reality, he will be our father and we his children. But can that ever be? Your God is not our God. Your God loves your people and hates mine. He folds his strong protecting arms lovingly about the pale face and leads him by the hand as a father leads an infant son. But he has forsaken his red children, if they really are his. Our God, the Great Spirit, seem also to have forsaken us. Our God makes our people wax stronger every day. Soon they will fill all the land. Our people are ebbing away like a rapidly receding tide that will never return. The white man's God cannot love our people, or he would protect them. They seem to be orphans who can look nowhere for help. How can then we be our brothers? How can your God become our God and renew our prosperity and awaken in us dreams of returning greatness? If we have a common heavenly Father, he must be partial, for he came to his pale-faced children. We never saw him. He gave you laws, but had no word for his red children, whose teeming multitudes once filled this vast continent with as stars fill the firmament. No, we are two distinct races with separate origins and separate destinies. There is little common between us. To us, the ashes of our ancestors are sacred, and their resting place is hallowed grounds. You wander far from the graves of your ancestors, and seemingly without regret, your religion was written upon tablets of stones by the iron finger of your God, so that you could not forget. The red man could never comprehend or remember it. Our religion is the traditions of our ancestors, the dreams of our old men, given them in solemn hours of the night by the Great Spirit, and the visions of our sachems, and is written in the hearts of our people. Your dead cease to love you and the land of their nativity as soon as they pass the portals of the tomb and wandered away beyond the stars. They are soon forgotten and never return. Our dead never forget this beautiful world they gave them being. They still love its verdant valleys, its murmuring rivers, its magnificent mountains, sequestered vales, and verdant-linked lakes and bays, and ever yearn in tender fond affection over the lonely-hearted living, and often return from the happy hunting ground to visit, guide, console, and comfort them. Day and night cannot dwell together. The red man has ever fled the approach of the white men, as the morning mist flees before the morning sun. However, your proposition seems fair, and I think that my people will accept it and will retire to the reservation of your offer. Then we will dwell apart in peace, for the words of the great white chief seems to be the words of nature speaking to my people out of dense darkness. It matters little where we pass the remnant of our days. They will not be many. The Indian's night promises to be dark. Not a single star of hope hovers above the horizon. Sad winds moan in the distance. Grim fate seems to be on the red man's trail, and wherever he will hear the approaching footsteps of his fellow destroyer and prepares solidity to meet his doom, as does the wounded doe that hears the approaching footsteps of the hunter. A few more moons, a few more winters, and not one of the descendants of the mighty host that once moved over this broad land or lived in happy homes protected by the Great Spirit will remain to mourn over the graves of a people once more powerful and hopeful than yours. But why should I mourn at the untimely fate of my people. Tribe follows tribe, and nation follows nation, like the waves of the sea. It is the order of nature, and regret is useless. Your time of decay may be distant, but it will surely come. For even the white men whose God walked and talked with them as friend to friend cannot be exempt from the common destiny. We may be brothers after all, we will see. We will ponder your proposition, and when we decide, we will let you know. But should we accept it, I here and now make the condition that we will not be denied the privilege without molestation of visiting at any time the tombs of our ancestors, friends, and children. Every part of the soil is sacred in the estimation of my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some sad or happy events in days long vanished. Even the rocks, which seems to be dumb and dead as they swelter in the sun along the silent shore, thrill with memories of stirring events connected with the lives of my people, and the very dust upon which you now stand responds more lovingly to their footsteps than ours, because it is rich with the blood of our ancestors, and our bare feet are conscious of the sympathetic touch our departed braves, fond mothers, glad, happy-hearted maidens, and even the little children who lived here and rejoiced here for a brief season will love those somber solitudes, and at eventide they greet shadowy returning spirits. And when the last red men shall have perished, and the memory of my tribe shall have become a myth among the white men, those shores will swarm with the invisible dead of my tribe. And when your children's children think themselves alone in the field, the store, the shop, upon the highway, or in the silence of the pathless woods, they will not be alone. In all the earth there is no place dedicated to solitude. At night, when the streets of your cities and villages are silent and you think them deserted, they will throng with the returning hosts that once filled them and still love this beautiful land. The white man will never be alone. Let him be just and deal kindly with my people, for the dead are not powerless. Dead, did I say? There is no death, only a change of worlds. By Chief Seattle. So this was all about the Chief Seattle's speech. So please, if you do like and subscribe my channel. Also share it with your friends, and if you want more videos upon the Chief Seattle speech about a detailed explanation or question answers of it, we will also provide you that for that videos. So for that, please write us on the comment section. Thank you.